Okay, everyone, we're going to begin. So hello, welcome to our Grad Cafe. We're so happy to have you here with us tonight. I'm Rena Bivens. So I'm an associate professor in the Communication and Media Studies department at Carleton University. I'm also the grad supervisor, so some of you will have spoken to me on Zoom or by email already, and you will probably continue to do that in the months to come. During these next 30 minutes, you'll have a chance to hear from our graduate administrator, Laura, who really holds everything together behind the scenes. So she keeps us afloat. And you'll also get to hear from some MA students and some PhD students who are in our program right now. After that, we'll open it up to questions from all of you. But along the way, if you do have any questions, you can ask them in the chat, and we'll have some folks watching the chat. So maybe you'll get an answer right away, or maybe they'll hold on to some of those questions until the Q&A period at the end. So first, let me just remind you that this is being recorded because there's some folks who aren't able to join us right now. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a version that we can let them access afterwards. Second, I'll just quickly say that to start us off, that our department really thinks quite widely about what communication and media studies is. We're not here to try to police the boundaries of what fits or what doesn't fit. And we really like to borrow theories and approaches from other disciplines. And so you'll find actually, if you join us, that many of our students also come to us from other disciplines outside of communication and media studies. So we have students from sociology, political science, literary studies, geography, art history, human-computer interaction, all over the place. And really that makes our classrooms more interesting and better conversations all around. I also want to add that our aim is to cultivate a supportive learning environment. So we want to have fun with ideas while also helping you find your place in your cohort. Okay, let's hear a little bit from Laura.
Okay, thanks, Rena. Hi, everyone. Just want to say thank you so much for coming tonight. It's great to see so many names and faces, and I know I've communicated with a lot of you, so that's been great. So as Rena said, my name is Laura Garrow, and I'm the graduate administrator in communications in the School of Communications at Carleton University. I manage our two graduate programs, so the MA in communication as well as the PhD in communication. My role is to help you with a variety of things, including admissions. So I'm able to answer any questions about required documents, the process, deadlines, awards, TA-ships, etc. And I process all the applications and I prepare them for the admissions committee. I then produce all the offers, and at that time, if you receive an offer and have questions about your offer, I'm able to help with that as well. So if you are admitted, that's great, and I will help you in the program with any program-related questions such as extensions, leave of absences, your TA-ship, awards, anything like that. I also organize all the MA and PhD defenses. I process awards and travel bursaries. Then once it's time for graduation, I'll confirm your eligibility. I will answer any questions you have about your audit. And I will just make sure everything goes smoothly for you. We admit in the program 5 to 7 PhD students per year and 15 to 20 MA students per year. We are a competitive program with one admission period with a start date in September. So to apply for September 2021, the deadline would be February 1st, 2021. My goal is to be very approachable. I'm very eager to help, and if I don't know the answer to your question, I will do my best to put you in touch with somebody who does. We really do work as a team. So again, we're there to support you through the program. I've been at Carleton for the last 15 years as an employee. I'm also a proud Carleton grad. I think Carleton is a wonderful place to study. The faculty and staff are amazing. And our program truly does care, and we are here to help you succeed. So thank you again for coming, and I hope you find the session useful. So thanks, Rena. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Laura. I told you she does a lot. Okay, I wanted to tell you first what our programs look like in action. So if you come to our master's program, that's a 2-year program, and you can choose from 3 different streams. So you can do your degree by coursework, and what that means is you'll have a chance to take 10 different courses over those 2 years. You'll have definitely 3 core theory and methodology courses, and then 7 different electives. Or you can take just 8 courses and instead add on a research essay. So for that, you're working with a supervisor on a small scale research project. Now, if you're one of those people who really love research and working independently, then you can choose the thesis stream. And that means that you'll finish all of your courses, it's just 6 courses in that case, during your first year. And then your whole second year, you'll get to spend working on that thesis. You'll have a supervisor, you'll have a second reader, and the whole thing will end with you in a room with all of them defending your thesis. Now, MA students also have a chance to choose a specialization. So we have specializations in data science, African studies, or our latest one is climate change. Now, for our PhD program, students begin with a year of coursework, followed by their first comprehensive exam, which is really the final part of a year-long doctoral seminar program. Then they work with their supervisor and 2 committee members to develop a second comprehensive exam and eventually their dissertation proposal. After that, that's when they get to work on their dissertation. Their program also ends with a defense and many celebrations and congratulations all around. That's the best bit, really. Now, we have several research labs that you've probably read about in the advertisement for this event, but maybe you haven't heard that there's some funding offers available to work with faculty members. So the Transgender Media Lab with Laura Horak has several opportunities that are advertised and available if you go take a look at that website. And Ben Wu's Rocket Lab also has some funded research assistant positions that will soon be advertised. Okay, that's plenty for me. So now I'll turn you over to Maddie Warlow.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie. I am a MA student in my second year now at Carleton. I also completed my undergrad at Carleton. I actually transferred from Western University after first year in political science and communication and media. And I'm glad I stuck with the communication and media side of my degree for my master's. I chose Carleton partly because I was somewhat familiar with the faculty, and also I did, like many of you, lots of research and found out, it's a really great program, and I have come to see that to fruition as being a student here. So I'm in the thesis stream. I'm currently working on my thesis project, which is something that grew out of these foundational courses at Carleton. I'm looking at the relations of sound and place construction of Ontario cottage country, which is a project that the staff and the student cohorts have really supported and helped me expand on and grow throughout the different things that you can do at Carleton. I love coursework. I love all the research interests of the profs, and I think the program offers you a lot of insight into things you may already find interesting, but make sure if you do come here, which you should, take courses outside of your comfort zone, and that's where you may find some really interesting research projects to expand on. So I will pass it off to Miles.
Hey everyone, my name is Miles Kenyon. I am a first year MA student, so in my very first semester here at Carleton. And like Rena mentioned kind of off the top, I'm one of those students who does not have a background in communications. So I have a degree in linguistics and a degree in journalism and worked as a journalist for many years. And with another job that I have, I began working on a particular project looking at the censorship of LGBTQ websites. And from there, I really found that I was fixated on that, and I had so much I wanted to learn. And that's the reason that I applied to Carleton. I know there are faculty like Rena who looks at gendered approaches to gendered approaches to technology, as well as Dr. Tracy Lorlo, who looks at data science and kind of big infrastructure projects. So that's what drew me to Carleton, and I am in the data science stream. So next semester, I'll really be diving in and looking at kind of some foundational courses that really dig into how data affects our lives, and put me in a good position to begin to answer questions around how LGBT communities face censorship and how we can be critical of data infrastructure that really affect the lived experiences of how certain marginalized communities access information. So that's kind of how I ended up here. And what I can say so far is, just being in the first semester, it has been such a welcoming experience. And my cohort, one thing that really strikes me is we are so non-competitive with each other. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it's in such a lovely environment of people who are willing to review work and to take time away from their very busy schedules to chat with you if you have any questions or concerns, as well as the faculty. But it's really, I actually talked to Rena on the phone leading up to applying for Carleton. That was something that came through, was there's a particular personality of the program, and from what I'm experiencing or learning, there's a particular personality to the type of individuals who are drawn to this program, and they are very warm people, and very lovely and very goofy, but also serious professionals. So that's been my experience so far, and I'm just thrilled to be here and share that. And with that, I will pass it off to Sarah.
Thanks, Miles. My name is Sarah. I'm in the third year of the PhD program. I'm really happy to be with you here today, even though my internet tried to make that impossible. So what drew me to Carleton, like Miles, I kind of feel like my origin story in COMS is kind of different. So I did my MA in criminology at the University of Ottawa, and then I took 5 years off and did clinical trials in kind of mental health research. And I went to the annual conference that our CGC, our graduate caucus, holds to support my partner, who was in the MA program at the time. And I'm sitting there listening to everybody kind of talk about their research, and I was like, I do this. This is what I do. So it kind of just goes to show you that COMS really allows you to kind of do you. You're really not pigeonholed into a particular field. I knew nothing about COMS when I started, and I feel like I've grown a lot in the last 3 years. Also, something to add is I picked Carleton because I wouldn't have to give up any of my funding if I got an external scholarship, which was a huge selling point for me. Having been at U Ottawa, I got like TA ships clawed back and stuff like that when I received external funding. So that was really, really important to me. Yeah, I think Miles is also really on point in terms of like the non-competitiveness of our program. So I applied for scholarships in my first semester, and we had workshops, and in our doctoral seminar, we kind of looked at all of our proposals, and I was like, where am I? What is this? So I really can't say enough about the faculty and the other students, and just how supportive this environment really is. And I'm of course happy to field any questions after the webinar as well if anybody wants to chat. But with that, I will throw it over to what is like the heart of our program, and send it over to Bethany.
Okay, hi. So great to have all of you here. My name is Bethany Berard, and I'm in my last year of the PhD program, and I also work as an instructor in the School of Journalism and Communication, and also as one of the graduate mentors. So if you have any questions, we're happy to help later on in the process as well. I research in the areas of visual communication and media history and theory. So my dissertation looks at kind of the history of photography and cameras, and makes an argument that we can look to photography as kind of a prehistory of the information age. And yeah, this program is great because you're allowed to take a lot of time to figure out what exactly it is that you want to say in a dissertation, which can sometimes be a bit of a daunting task. But because I have a great supervisor and an awesome supportive committee, they let me take my time. And so now I have a project and an argument that I think does a lot more than it would have if I had been kind of told that I needed to work a bit quicker, which is always kind of the tension that you have as a graduate student, meeting your deadlines and the timeline, but also trying to produce work that you're excited about and that you think kind of contributes to bigger conversations. And this department is very supportive of everyone trying to get the best work possible, however that comes about. So as the graduate application mentor, we have 2 of us this year, and so we help current students in our program, and some of you as well, who are excited about applying and maybe have questions. We work with you to kind of strengthen some of the application materials that you have to submit, particularly the statement of intent and sometimes research statements as well, to kind of help you make sure that you're answering the kinds of questions that a search committee would be looking for, and to make sure that you're thinking about some of the right things, like why do you want to go to grad school? Why this program? Is this a good fit for you? And sometimes those conversations can be helpful because it can reaffirm that you're applying to the right places, or it can help you rethink some of your choices and make sure that you are applying to programs that are a good fit for you and would work for your research interests and the kinds of things you want to get out of grad school. So I have 2 tips for you as the grad application mentor, and we're happy to, again, answer questions at any point if you have more specific questions. But when you're putting together these materials, as much as you can, be specific. So in everything that you're pulling together, be as detailed and specific as possible. Why do you want to go to grad school? Why this program? Why are you a good fit? Be as specific as you can, because everyone who applies is really keen and excited and is likely a strong student. And while those are all reasons that you'd be a good fit, the more specific you can be, the more research you can do about a program, the stronger it's going to come across as a good fit. And the second tip is that you should do multiple drafts. And I know this is one of those things, do as I say, not as I do. Drafting is difficult, it's annoying, but for something like this, it's really important because a statement of intent is a mix of who you are as a person and as an academic. And sometimes getting that balance right or getting the flow to work just requires a few drafts to make sure that you're answering these questions. Why do I want to go to grad school? Why this program? What do I want to research? What has kind of led me to this point? Striking that balance can be a little bit difficult. So the more time you give to these drafts and the more kind of feedback you can get, or time between drafts to let it kind of sit and to think about it, the stronger the final product will be, which can only lead to good things. So if you have any questions, I'm sure we'll disseminate some contact info later on, but feel free to also put them in the chat. And I will send it back to Rena.
Okay, aren't they all great? Thank you so much. Now I want to do some sort of top tips with Bethany Berard. We can make that go viral, I'm pretty sure, pretty quickly. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you got a feel for our program a little bit, as much as we can do this on Zoom, and that maybe you have some questions now. So at the moment, I'm going to ask all the speakers to type their email addresses into the chat. That way, if you want, you can connect with anybody here who you've heard speaking, and you can ask to have a one-on-one call or just talk back and forth by email. Bethany Berard, as she mentioned, also is one of the people you can connect with if you want specific help with your application materials. And now, with the time we have left, we have about 9 minutes here. So if there's any specific questions, you're welcome to type them into the chat if you like, or you can just unmute yourself, or if that feels strange, just say that you have a question and we'll notice, and we will ask you to unmute specifically and speak to us and ask us a question. So I don't think we had any chats or any questions in the chat as we went along, correct me if I'm wrong. No. So are there any questions for us? Are we really that good? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, if there's anything that is not coming to you, and if you think of a question when the session's over, feel free to, like Rena and everyone else said, send an email. We're happy to connect that way as well if you're more comfortable with that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Laura. So I see one question so far from Patty. What is the biggest difference between the journalism MA and the communication MA? Unfortunately, I don't have much experience with the journalism side of things. So we're part of the School of Journalism and Communication, but the two sides kind of function separately. So there's the journalism side, there's journalism faculty, and they run their undergrad degree and their master's as well. And they have another program as well that you can look into. But on the communication side, we have our own separate faculty in undergrad and master's and PhD. So sometimes we have students who come from the journalism side of the school and join us in our master's program, or vice versa. I don't have any of those students here with us tonight who could speak to what the master's side of the journalism program is like, but we can definitely put you in touch with folks from the journalism side, and you can connect with them and find out more about what their degree is like. There's another question here. Great, questions are coming. You're welcome, Patty. Okay, so from Jacqueline, for the communications MA, is there an option to complete it part-time? That's a great question. We don't have a lot of students in the master's program doing it part-time. We sometimes have students in the PhD program who, for various reasons, as they move on in their degree, end up having to move to part-time. And that can be a really great thing if they have another job, or if they need to reduce their tuition for the time being because they can only work on it part-time. In terms of the master's program, though, we haven't had too much experience with students doing it part-time, but it's something that we're open to. And the part of the problem, though, is that in a normal world, not this pandemic world that we're in right now, is we will have courses, like some core courses that you have to take, right? And so some students who come to us wanting to do it part-time, it means that they're often doing a job at the same time, maybe a job full-time, and they're trying to squeeze a degree in. And that can be a bit tricky, and especially if you can't make it to the classes when they're scheduled. But we're happy to talk about that more. If you want, you can follow up by email if you want to talk about it some more. But we have a question from Lauren here too. Should we identify which stream we would like to go into in our application? That's a great question. Bethany, do you have any thoughts on that one?
I would say if you are coming into the program and you have a very clear idea of what it is that you want to research, so you're excited about doing a thesis option or a major research project, that can always be something that will set your application apart because you've got that connection to specific faculty, specific research areas already, so you can point to that as a reason that this is going to be a good fit. But we also encourage students to come in and see what works for them. Students in the MA program especially will come in with either the goal of doing a thesis or the assumption that they're going to do coursework because they're not sure about a research project. So you can specify that in the application, but it's not required because there is kind of the idea that the first year will maybe be a learning experience and you'll figure out what fits for you also after you've taken that kind of first chunk of courses. So if there's something specific you're interested in researching, you can always add that in, but you do not have to say in the statement of intent what stream specifically, but it is always a good idea to indicate what areas of research you'd be interested in kind of pursuing in your graduate work.
Thanks so much, Bethany. There's another question here about co-ops. In the grad program, we unfortunately don't have a co-op option. And there's another question about taking courses at U of Ottawa while studying at Carleton. I haven't seen anything like that happen in my experience. That said, I'm a pretty new grad supervisor. I'm a bit of a noob here, but I don't think that's typically an option. But we do allow you to take a course outside of communication and media studies and apply that to your degree. So you can look around at different departments at Carleton. And another question here from Savannah, do you have to specialize in one of those streams, or is that just an option? So the streams itself, which is the coursework, research essay, or thesis stream at the master's level, you do eventually have to choose one of those. So that will affect how many courses you end up taking and how you complete your degree, how you get all those credits to be able to graduate. But if you're talking about the specializations like data science or African studies or climate change, you do not have to choose one of those. We only have, like we have some students, we only have a certain number of seats for data science, for example. African studies and climate change, I think a few more students can join those programs, but you don't have to specialize in them. A lot of students just take a general communication master's degree. No problem, Savannah. Okay, I know we're nearing the end here. We just have a final 2 minutes. Is there any other questions? One final question, perhaps? Thanks, Lauren. Okay, this is the last question we'll take for now, but hopefully you got our email addresses and you can follow up, and we're happy to chat with you more. So what would you recommend we choose as a sample of writing for the application? That's another great question. And what I most often see is essays that students had written. Sometimes it can be, you know, a different sort of project that's not a standard essay, but it always tends to come from the undergraduate, when we're talking about master's applications, an undergraduate degree, an undergraduate course. And so you just think about, well, which one, like, you know, what topic did I study that I really liked, that was super interesting, where I, you know, it was a fun paper to write. You can think about that, or one that you just did really well on. And you send that in. It gives us a sense of your writing style and the kind of work that you can produce. Okay, so we're right up to 5:30 here. So we're gonna have to wrap it up, but I want to thank all of the speakers tonight for taking some of your time out of your evening and coming to join us and talking about the grad program and being so entertaining while you did it. So thank you to all of you. Thank you also to Roger for joining us and helping to take care of all of our Zoom and technical issues tonight. And thank you to all of you, of course, for coming and hearing about our program and joining us online tonight. Thank you so much, and we hope we can meet you in person someday. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.